Hail, hail. Good evening, folks, and welcome along to the Endless Celts Podcast. I'm Anthony, I'm the host here for tonight, and delighted to be joined by one and only Mr. Stephen Thomas. How you doing, mate?
All good, mate, all good. And I tell you what, see, earlier this morning we had a storm over here in Ireland and it caused havoc. And it sounds like it's causing havoc where we are. I cannot believe I can hear the rain. And anyone who's listening, that's actually not an echo. That's the rain where Anthony is. It sounds like a monsoon, one of them Amazon rainforest type things.
Yeah, it's not the best weather conditions out there, mate, it has to be said. But I've got I'm sporting finally my Endless Celts t-shirt, picked it up for us last week. And finally gave Stephen Coulthard his prize last night as well. So well done to Stephen. And on that note, how is the current Super 6 going?
The Super 6, the updated table, still has Kieran in first place on 170 points. Mark Robertson, 157. Alistair Jack in the top three at 148. Joe Finlay, 148. They're joint. Anthony, you're climbing. You're just behind on 147. Kevin has dropped one to sixth place, 146. William Dobbin, 142. Stephen Coulthard is in the top 8 at 140. And rounding off the top 9 is Jamie McElduff. So, as you said there, Stephen got his t-shirt last night. And by all accounts, he's a happy man. He sent you a wee message today about it. So, we told you the t-shirt was coming. It was just taking a while, but we're there. And Anthony's sporting it tonight, and it looks fantastic on you, big man.
Thanks very much, mate. Try my best. And welcome along everybody in the comments as well. There's a Stephen prize winner from last season. And from what I can see, he's obviously come back up the table as well, so you just never know if he's going to make it 2 in a row. But Stephen, after obviously really disappointing night against Atletico on Tuesday, which you guys spoke about on Friday night. There was much chat in the media that Celtic were going to be suffering another European hangover. Aberdeen were coming to create a real title race coming up. But needless to say, it didn't happen.
No, I think if you're looking for a response from Celtic, you fairly got it against Aberdeen. I thought that from the first whistle to the 100th minute, we were absolutely relentless. And there's someone coming in saying you have an echo, but I think that's the rain. To be honest, the rain is playing a bit of havoc with the microphone, but just bear with us. I'm sure it'll even itself out. We were looking for a response. I think the most ironic thing was Aberdeen had the best result in European football. They got a draw against PAOK away from home, which was fantastic for them. They should have been riding a crest of a wave, so to speak, confidence quite high. But see, to be fair, they were non-existent, and it was just one of them days for Celtic. Everything clicked finally, and we're seeing some of the players who come in, as we're going to speak about, played fantastically well. And I just thought, like what Roger said, you're looking for that kind of relentlessness, the intensity that he wants in the game, the fast build-up play, the in terms of pass the ball, being more methodical about it, picking the right spaces, and the likes of Yang and all really played well. And I know we'll get into them players. And look, again, it's one of them games, like you said, it could have been a tough one to maybe get into, a tough one to get back in their stride after kind of an embarrassing loss against Atletico Madrid. We got beat 6-0. We responded by winning the game 6-0.
Couldn't have asked for any more, mate. It was a really great start, and especially with a lot of the players that were coming in. Palma, Yang, Home, all starting yesterday. Well, Palma's kind of nailed his place down now, but Home and Yang, especially in the first half, absolutely terrific.
See, this is what I was saying all along. See about Yang, he really gets me excited. And see, once he polishes his final product, he'll be unbelievable. See the stuff he does with the ball. Like, I know Jota was really skillful, but I think Yang possibly has more skills to his whole kind of game as a whole. And there was points in that first half where he was taking on their players, maybe one or two, even 3 times, skinning them, playing decent balls into them already for one of the goals, which we're going to come on to as well. And Palma, like again, Palma's, I don't know what it is, Anthony. But Palma's been playing really well. I think he has 9 goal involvements in 8 games, but it's still Yang who gets me the most excited, and that's probably because he can take a man on. He's got that blister and pace, and he's a bit unorthodox, where Palma, I think, maybe 9 times out of 10 you can read what he's going to do. But I like what Roger said about him, that when they first brought Palma in, he even referenced it, everything was going back the way, and they've worked on his game where he can kind of go to the byline, whip the ball in, like the goal for Yang, funny enough, he assisted him. And like, just a variation to his play, because I thought he was very one-dimensional, where he was cutting in to the right side and trying to get that shot off, and defenders were reading it too easily. But what I noticed against Aberdeen was there was times he was taking on, was it Mikey Devlin was the right back? He was going down the side of him, and he was kind of confusing him as well. Wee bit of skill in there, and look, I just think for me he's a fantastic playmaker to have in the team, and 3 assists and a goal for himself. I think for the 2 wingers to be involved in goals, I think it's fantastic.
Absolutely, I mean, 2 quick goals to really kind of set this tone for the rest of the afternoon. And obviously, the Aberdeen goalkeeper had a couple of really good saves as the half went on as well. But I also felt, Home getting his first kind of start in a while as well. Obviously, in the absence of Rio Hatate, there's going to be Bhoys staking a claim for the place. But without being anything too flashy, I thought he was quietly effective.
I think with Odin Thiago home, it's like you're expecting a lot of him to come in and obviously set the world alight. As you said, he's basically come in from the cold, getting sent off the Champions League. He wasn't really seen after that being involved in matchday squads, and obviously Hatate gets injured, and Rodgers has tried Bernardo, he's tried Turnbull, and look, Home was obviously going to get his chance. And like you said, I thought he was effective. I was expecting more from him going forward. I was expecting to get involved in the play high up the pitch, maybe linking up with O'Reilly on occasions, but that didn't happen. But I think it will come. I think even Rodgers again said that he needs to take these opportunities while they're there for him. He needs to come in and stake a claim for the team. I think Turnbull's kind of doing that. Bernardo's been in and out for European games, and look, we all expect a lot from him. I think out of the cohort of signings, he's probably up there with the top 4 that we're expecting big things off of Palma, of Yang. You can fit Home in there, maybe Bernardo if we get him on a permanent contract. So yeah, as you said, he's industrious. He has good work rate about him. He gets in and about it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes from him. And Jamie Grant comes in, Anthony Zach and all that. Look, it definitely, I think it's the rain. There was a wee kind of snippet from the stream platform we use saying there might be a problem with Androids at the moment. So bear with us. It's nothing we can actually fix. It's a platform issue. So hopefully you can hear us and you can stick with us for the podcast.
Yeah, we'll maybe have to cut a couple of things a wee bit shorter, but hopefully it's not putting off the discussion. I'll try and get through my bits as quick as I can, Stephen. I hope you've got plenty of water to drink to keep you going. Really apologise for all the...
It's the audio. That's all it is. It's the background noise, Anthony, so just keep going the way you are.
Okay, I'll try my best. My apologies again. And but yeah, as I said, 2-0, really cruising at half time, and we were just hoping keep it simple, nothing too crazy in the second half, and the 3 points should be coming home. Unfortunately, though, Stephen, within 5 minutes of that second half, they had a real bad collision with Kyogo and Aberdeen defender. You could say full-blooded. I suppose there's a few other ways you could describe it as well. It looks like he's obviously not going to go on international duty now, and he's going to try and recover here in Scotland, which is supposedly in a selfish way probably quite good for us. It saves him clocking up any more air miles. But what was your thoughts on the challenge? Because it's definitely generated a lot of debate, not just in wider media, but even within our group chat.
I think when I first seen it, emotions are running high. You see the image of Kyogo basically being out cold and hitting the pitch, not even like protecting himself. His face, he does face plant it. It looked horrible in real time and even in slow mo as well. Look, for me, it's a yellow card. I don't think it's anything more than that. Rubicic after that definitely played up to the fans, and he was liking the attention he was receiving, which is fair enough. He's trying to make a name for himself in this Scottish game. It was a full-blooded challenge. Thomas Burns red card, Stephen Coulthard says red card. People will have different opinions on it, but the way I look at it, it reminded me as in, let me see, remember the Simonovic tackle, the Kenny Miller? Yeah. Just that kind of force, and it looks bad, but he did win the ball. He got to the ball first, and unfortunately the collision took him through the man. And I know people are pointing to the fact dangerous play, like if you look at Mieta against Atletico Madrid, he left a foot in there, but I don't think he can really. I mean, we know that, in my opinion, the Mieta one wasn't a red card anyway. But the fact that it's just bad from our point of view. Kyogo got knocked out. That's what really gets everyone upset, and kind of the emotions run high and things like that. And again, people in the comments are saying red card, but I genuinely believe it's no more then a yellow card, and then Rubicic, I think come on and flung him about like a wet tracksuit. So he got his medicine and spade loads after that. Like I think had a wee bit of fight in his eyes when he came up against him. Just that kind of tenacity, that kind of tenacity that you want from your striker. But if we can circle back to the goals a wee bit as well, Anthony, in the first half. I mean, if you look at it, the first one again, we'd have said about Palma, and what I liked about this, as I said, he took it to the byline, and Yang hasn't had a goal yet, and I think he's maybe had one assist. So we spoke about before. I hope this is like Yang doing getting his confidence boost, because he was at the back post, he met that flush, and he just bulleted the header right past Roos in the nets, and I thought it was a great bit of play. You look at the Kyogo goal, I thought Yang played another instrumental part in that, the way he cut into the midfield, played a lovely reverse ball into Matt O'Reilly, and then Kyogo, quick as a flash, comes across our defender and puts it in, one touch finish. And I think by that point he had 5 touches, and that just proves how much like we rely on him. And even though he doesn't really get involved in the game that much, but he's there at the time, and that kind of leads on again to the tackle. And it's just the emotion side of things to me that people are asking for a red card, but I don't think it was. What about you?
Well, at the time, in the real time at the game, obviously you're out your seat and you're roaring, and it should be a red. I know they sort of say if such a card existed, it would be more like an orange card. And not that that's the colour we particularly like on this channel. But you know what I mean? It's like you say, very full-blooded. I think if a red card had been given, there couldn't really be too many complaints, if that's the right kind of way to say. I could understand why it would be given, because they do say about endangering an opponent, whether it's accidental or deliberate, it's still you're endangering an opponent, it's a red card. So I can understand if it had been given, but like you say, Stephen, and in the contact sport world, I think it's not too bad to say it's a yellow, but it was definitely very, very rash, to say the least. And probably the way he reacted, you see a lot of players when they have an incident like that, they kind of go into their shell a little bit and try not to antagonise too much. But he was up giving a big licks at the crowd once he won a challenge and stuff. So to say he didn't indeed Celtic crowd is a bit of an understatement.
Anthony, if you put it on the other foot, if just for example, if Carter Vickers roughed up Miovski or Duke like that, you'd be like, there's the tank, there's the fridge. So I mean that's what you expect from your centre half. And look, just because it's on a Celtic player, I'm not going to say I wouldn't want that from my centre. I want my centre half to be full blooded and enjoy a challenge like that. Yeah, Kyogo come off second best, and again I pointed, that's why we're emotional, because we're seeing he basically was knocked out on the pitch, and it isn't great to see that. But at the end of the day, Rubicic, to me, is probably one of the most aggressive centre halves in the Scottish League. He's a big, tall unit, and he gets stuck in. I've seen him slide tackle with his head the other week, and that's just the type of guy he seems to be. And like you said as well, he played up to the fans, but these guys are coming from minnow teams in Europe, and they're trying to make their way in the Scottish game and probably look for a move in the future. And it's a full-blooded tackle, and as I said, it's no more than the yellow card for me. If you're going to start doing all that sort of stuff, you're going to referee every moment of the game with VAR. You're going to be looking at every incident and being like, did he win the ball cleanly? Did he leave his stud in the shin by mistake? And look, you go back to the Meda incident against Atletico Madrid. As Roger said, the VAR at that time planted a seed in the referee's head because the still image was there. This to me wasn't like that, because it's, for one, it didn't need to go to VAR, and two, we've seen clearly that Rubicic won the ball. And as I've always been consistent on the podcast, and I want fair refereeing decisions, and I'm not just going to backtrack on that because it was against one of our players. And if you go back again, if Carter Vickers, if Johnson, who loves the tackle, done that, I'd be buzzing, I'd be cheering that tackle like a goal. And I'm sure there were some Aberdeen fans who were. It's just my take on it. And again, I pointed, it's the emotional side, because we all love Kyogo. We don't want to see him knocked out the pitch 100%. For me, there was no malice in it. Yeah, Rubicic looks like a big prick, and he probably is a bit of a prick, do you know what I mean, in his character. But these teams have defenders like that who just love to get in and get stuck in, and I don't see anything wrong with that. As long as there's no malice in it, then I'm all for it.
I mean, there's always going to be those sort of potential incidents on a football park, and I think you've got to take that into account sometimes. And like you say, I'm not used to it. I don't want to be re-refereed every 2 minutes. So yeah, I suppose we just kind of got to go with it. And it seems to
what do you think?
What did I think? Well,
Did you think it was?
I did think that at the time I thought it was a red. But I think on reflection, then I can understand why it wasn't given. That makes sense. So for me, I'll say referee decision, fair enough. Yellow card, and we move on. And we just obviously hope that the injury is not too serious and he's back doing what he does best. Hopefully straight after the international break. Fingers crossed. But yeah, you're talking about goals, Stephen, and our old friend VAR. It was involved obviously in the third goal. A foul deemed by, not deemed by referee Willie Collum on the park. Did get a lot of people out their seats and saying, that's a stone waller. Or so he went to the monitor and gave it for a penalty after that. I must admit there was a lot of folks saying, it's never a penalty and whatnot. But for me in this one, I accept that maybe O's touch is taking it away for the goalkeeper, so he maybe wouldn't have had a snapshot straight away. But for me, it's a foul. It's in the box, and surely a foul in the box means a penalty kick.
100%. Let me try something here because people are saying it's a bad angle.
Mm-hmm.
Can't hear me. Can you hear me now? Yeah?
Yep.
Talk back to me.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we'll try this. We'll try this for now because people are saying there's a bad echo, and there's not much I can do about it in terms of that. I hope it sound okay. So I do, but yeah, I mean the penalty kick for ourselves, I think it's a stone waller, albeit the ball's going away from him at the time. But the defender for Aberdeen still hooked his leg round and caught him. I think it was Jack McKenzie, and it was still a penalty. There can't be no argument from it just because the ball's away from you. If that's any other area of the pitch, and for example, if a defender clears the ball and he gets caught late, it still gets pulled back for a free kick. So there's no differential if you're in the penalty box, and albeit your shot's going wide, if you get took down, it's a penalty kick in my opinion. And I think Palma, by the way, showed a bit of confidence. Do you know what I mean? And to step up and take the free kick and take the penalty kick. Sorry. We know he's a set piece expert from his time in the Greek league, and that's what he's kind of lauded for coming from there. So maybe he might be the number one penalty taker going forward.
That's it. Well, the only thing I didn't like he done that run up, the stop start kind of thing, which I don't like. But it did go in the corner, like you say, brilliant penalty, and that kind of saved the game because you just think if that hadn't went in, then it starts to, the fans get a bit, tetchy and, Aberdeen sneak a goal. It's all kind of, sort of, it can all fall away for you pretty quickly. But thankfully, we got that settled match and we just kind of got on the subs after that. But just that was actually my next my point. Would you say Palma first choice penalty taker going forward?
See, at this point, I would do a raffle for the supporters to come on and take a penalty kick. We're absolutely abysmal at penalty kick. I don't know what was that about. Did you see that? The guy who fell over his neck.
Yeah.
That was that Stewart's fault, by the way. That was awful.
It was a sketchy one. I have to be fair. See, by that time, my own patience had wore thin. I was like that. Listen, if he hurts his tail, he hurts his tail. Stay off the park. But you obviously you're glad with something too. It's nothing too serious seems to have happened. But yeah, it was really frustrating yesterday. I think the first time it happened, there was a bit of laughter and because it was a young lad that had done it. But by the fourth time, everyone's patience had completely gone, and even Joe Hart, I think, was ready. If the steward hadn't flung the ball, I think Joe Hart was about 10 yards behind him. So he's probably lucky it was a steward rather than the former England number one.
There's still, see this echo balls, by the way, it's doing my head in. Hold on a wee second. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect, mate.
Have you got headphones? They're asking if you got headphones or earphones of any kind.
Not that would fit on my phone, no.
Well, we're just going to have to persevere. So look, this isn't a top dollar production. we're here and we're just trying our best. But no, I think with the pitch invasions and stuff, like I've seen people saying with the with the Green Brigade orchestrating this, and I don't think that was happening. I think that's far-fetched to say the least. But I mean, back to the penalty kick. I think for me, I'm looking at it. Palma looks the most confident and comfortable doing it. I think if you look at Turnbull again, possibly it could be him. Matate missed a few. Kyogo for me doesn't. Do you know what I mean? He goes off instinct. You give him too much time to think, then I think it kind of goes 50-50 in my opinion. But hopefully Palma can stake a claim for that 100%.
Yeah, you're hoping, mate. Absolutely. And then our old friend David Turnbull, third week in a row, a goal for outside the box, took it very well, it had to be said. One of 3 goals in the in stoppage time that we'll get to, but yeah, I have to say he's certainly taking it. Any chance he's getting, he's certainly staking a claim. And Ross made a good point in the group chat that while Scotland are pretty much stacked in that area, he's a potential extra option, perhaps off the bench for the European Championships next year.
Was he serious? I thought he was joking.
No, I mean, listen, he's never going to be a starter in this, but it's an option.
Look, Turnbull does what Turnbull does. Do you know what I mean? He comes on, he does a few pirouettes, and he hits a few shots, and one possibly goes in. Do you know what I mean? It was a great goal. I thought
16 in the Euros, though, Stephen.
I think for me, like with Turnbull, my concerns aren't his qualities on the ball. It's all off the ball for me. Off the ball, it's 10 men. Off the ball, he lacks the running power. He lacks the athleticism, the endurance to get around the pitch and play that way that Rodgers wants to play. I feel like Rodgers doing these hand movements. I mean, you see him on the TV and you kind of copy him. Jed Thomas comes in there. Turnbull is in Celtic class, and look, that's the way I'm looking at it as well. Yeah, his goal was great. I think he gave Roos the eyes, didn't he? Roos thought he was going to the other side, and he just whips it round and finds the near post, and it was a great finish. And people are on about his celebration, Anthony. I've seen this for a few Celtic podcasts and a few Celtic media outlets on Twitter and things. Do you think that by his lack of celebration, that points to the fact that maybe he's leaving the club, or he's resigned to leaving the club?
To be honest, mate, I've never really thought of David Turnbull as the most overzealous of celebrator. He always, he's quite a kind of laid back kind of character for what I've seen anyway. But I don't ever recall him scoring and going crazy. So I think that's probably more his personality rather than any sort of where his mental state is, where he is going to be playing next season, or if he's going to be at the club, or if he's going to be elsewhere. I don't even recall him going particularly animated when he scored for Motherwell either. So I definitely take the point. I think there was some criticism, was it last week or the week before, when he scored and he done the fingers in the ears. Which that was silly. I mean, there's no a lot of Celtic supporters. He's somebody that kind of divides opinion, shall I say, but I don't think there's any abuse or over the top criticism of David Turnbull. I think people generally see what they think. Not all of it's praiseworthy, but I don't think it ever goes beyond the realms of just constructive criticism, if that's the best way to describe it. Sorry.
San Fran Celtic, Sociedad coming for Palma. We're starting the transfer. Leave Palma be for a while. So I mean, leave him be for a while. I think, as I said there previously, we see his qualities, but yeah, Turnbull. I mean, look, you rightly said it. We praise him, but at the end of the day, it's one of them ones. I don't think he's Celtic class. I think if we get 5 million for him, we'll be laughing all the way to the bank. Do you know what I mean? Paul McFarlane comes in. Endless Celts Podcast with quality. Get 2 Anthonys for the price of 1. Estepona boy, watch out, Spanish side sniffing around Palma. Ian McIntosh, it's like an echo chamber in here. Let's hope none of us have an Amazon echo. See the amount of times I've mentioned that. There's beeps going on all around the country, do you know what I mean? And it's just Neeps. I wish Anthony sound wasn't broken. He talks shite. Jimmy Grant.
Say that, my friend.
Jimmy Grant is good for certain games. I think, that's what Turnbull is. He falls into that bracket where he can bring him on, maybe start a game against a lesser opposition, and I think he'll do a job for you.
That's it. And that's what I know. It seems to be improving on some people's whatever you're listening in on tonight. But as I say, we can only apologise. It's out with our control, and we just thought it's better to have a show than no show at all. And I suppose, like you say, Stephen, we were worried about there only being 2 years on the night, but it's clearly for a lot of folk there's 3 voices that they're hearing, so it's all good. And finishing off, just really with the match itself, Stephen, a guy who's chatted about a lot, obviously our understudy striker, came on fits and starts, kind of done little bits of off the ball movement when he came on, but it looked like it was potentially going to be another one of those days where he didn't get on the score sheet, and you just hope that wasn't going to be one of the ones where it was going to fall away again. He was going to kick on from his goal the other week, but I have to say, thanks to Palma's wonder of a right foot, at number 5 with a brilliant close range header, good celebration as well. With his right, looking after his right foot, it was quite funny. And then right at the end, took his goal absolutely brilliantly, clean through. And it's one of the areas where we've always felt that O's sort of struggled since he's came in. That one-on-one decisive moment, take your chance, and he ran on, gave the goalkeeper absolutely no chance for number 6. You have to say, we can only, he's got a lot of criticism. I think some of it valid, some of it a little bit over the top, but there's no denying that he seems to be hopefully starting to come into a bit of a rhythm now.
Yeah, I think as well, since we spoke about it on that podcast, he's came to life. I feel like he's watched it, translated it, and ran with it. But I'm so happy for O. I think there's a real good player in there with a lot of potential. He's raw. You know what I mean? You have to kind of refine his game, and I think Rodgers is the best coach to do that. We've seen him do that with multiple players when he first came into Celtic. Kieran Tierney, Callum McGregor, Scott Brown. He changed his game, and I think with O, what we're seeing is a different size to him. I mean, the Palma assist, it was beautiful. And it was, see them outside of the foot kind of crosses. You have to get them pinpoint perfection. And he just whipped it with it, and all O had to do was connect with it. It was like Palma's cross for Yang. It was just pinpoint precision, and he headed it in. That's 2 headed goals were scored in the game, and it's very rare you see Celtic score headed goals. And it's just fantastic to see. And you made a great point. See that kind of maybe last season when it's no slight or no dig at Postecoglou, but if O's doing that again, 1-on-1 with a keeper with a 40-yard run, he's got time to think. And I think personally he makes the wrong decision last season. But with Rodgers and the coaching he implements, I think he's made the right choice. And again, he gave Roos the eyes. He opened his body up to go kind of round him and whip it into the right-hand side, but he took the near post and finished it in the left, like Turnbull did for his goal. And that will do his confidence the world of good. So that will bring his game on, and he'll get used to coming off the bench now. He'll get used to getting that field for the scoring goals. We've seen Giakoumakis do the same. He eventually started scoring from the bench, and then he started getting into the team and taking advantage of injuries or taking advantage of loss of form. And maybe O can do that as well, because I genuinely believe, Anthony, there's a great player in there. He's quick over the ground. I think he's a good hold-up player. I mean, he's an eye for a pass as well. And not only that, I think Roger said it too, he brings others into play. So you can bounce the ball off him. If you're a midfield player, it's great. Like John Hartson used to do. If you're a Lubo passing into John, he's holding the ball up. You can get up close to him and you can affect the play closer to their goal. And I think with O, if you're O'Reilly, if you're playing that ball into his feet, he's holding that up. You're making the run. And it's all these things that come in different variations of play. If we're needing something different, if Kyogo's maybe not having the best game, you can switch it with a 2 or bring Kyogo off. And we've seen Rodgers do that more and more, especially with the 2 up front. He's experimenting. And I think Jed Thomas here says it as well, O's physical. And that's one thing we don't have in the striker. Giakoumakis left that void and O's come in, took time to adapt, but he's coming from South Korea. It's not like he's coming from down the road or Poland or Holland. This guy's had a whole transition of life. Yang's the same. Kwan to a certain extent, but no, I don't think we're ever going to see Kwan in a Celtic shirt again. But I'm absolutely buzzing for him, and I do believe, 3 goals, maybe 4 goals already this season. I think he'll finish in double figures if he keeps going the pace he's going at. And I think for Kyogo as well, having competition again, having someone who's sniffing and ready to take the opportunity will push his game on to another level, because it's all about competition for places, Anthony. There's no point like Joe Hart, for example, he's comfortable in the thought that he knows he's going to be number one. Like, he's not going to wake up one day and Rodgers is going, Seagrass is playing your shite. That's never happening. Like, Greg Taylor at the minute, he knows he's number one because Burnaby's on the drink every day. Even though he came on, to be honest, do you know what I mean? My friend was back in the pitch.
But that was going to be one of my points. He came on and he had a decent couple of overlaps, some good through passes as well. Do you think perhaps there's an opportunity, even with the fact that obviously, as we say, Taylor is going to be the one that it's his jersey at the moment, but do we say that perhaps it's not necessarily completely over for Burnaby? There might be a little bit of an option.
I mean, yeah, but San Fran, I don't know if this is a joke. O is a much better player than Hartson was. What? I mean, I hope that's that's a big call. I think what maybe the person means is possibly link-up play, maybe holding the ball up and skill, speed. Maybe I'll give you that, but I think Plunge McNugget says here, Hartson was a goal machine. O has a long way to go to match him. Sam Fran again. Greg Taylor's a wasted jersey. This isn't me, by the way. I'm not typing this. People will be thinking that's for me. Jed Thomas, Hartson was fantastic for us, 100%. But in regards to Burnaby, I still think he has potential. And it's almost like, do you ever get when you were young, right? And you started a job and you're like, you show potential at it and you start kind of dipping a wee bit. You get called in by your manager, like, you need to buck up your ideas. You've got, we know what you can do. You hit a spike again and then it goes downhill and then suddenly, I don't know where you go back up again. I think Burnaby's like that. Burnaby's I think he's in his own head. I don't think he listens to instructions very well. I think Rodgers might have a very tough time coaching him. I know I said at the start of the season, and I was deadly serious, I'm not going to say I was joking, I thought that Burnaby would be number one left back by Christmas. I mean, if there's a clip for TikTok, by the way, that's the clip. That's the clip of all clips, me saying that. Do you know what I mean? But Burnaby, for me, it could be like, so he might get trusted in more games and coming off, because especially with the injuries we have now, I mean, Maeda's going to be out, Mikey Johnson's not on the bench again, so there's spaces open up in the squad, and Burnaby can play that kind of auxiliary winger, do you know what I mean, kind of wing back position, and that, so Rodgers might like that kind of versatility in his game. And look, and Palm for 16 and for the Burnaby, I don't know, I'm still holding a wee candle for him. Corvo's given up on him, but I haven't. I think to me, in my opinion, if he knuckles down, if he stays with it, and if he actually gives his all, I think he'll be a player. And look, and there's Robert Davey. Stephen, he's going to be a player for us. Yeah, again, I said it about O last season. People are writing O off. I said he had potential, and multiple people did, but I've seen that lots of people saying that he's not good enough. He'll never be in a Celtic shirt. He won't score 15 plus goals. For me, Burnaby's in the same boat, and I feel sorry for him because I think all the abuse he gets is a bit unjust. We haven't really seen him get a run of 5 or 6 games in the team, albeit that's because Taylor's form has been somewhat consistent and good. But for me, there's opportunities there for Burnaby this season because Greg Taylor hasn't been the greatest. I think we can all see that. I think his performance levels have dipped, but that's up to Burnaby to show he can do a job, and Rodgers is the guy who you have to place your trust in to make the right call on that one.
Yeah, it's fair enough, mate. I just thought I'd bring it up just because he did come on yesterday, and you know he did show some decent flashes, and I just definitely did think of it. Stephen's watching us, which I knew you would have been. I thought you'll be sitting there like a proud dad.
I am proud, man. I'm proud of him. I was, you know what was so funny? See, before he came on, like, so they were lined up. You were at the game, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
So you might not have seen it, but Burnaby was coming on, and like Rodgers had this big cheese and grin, and he literally gave him the hardest like kind of high five in the world. It was like, there's no way, like, come on, son, show me what you can do, you know, that type of thing. And he was so happy for him to get on the pitch, and see, his hurt. he does put on the pitch. He's like a big child. He is like a big kid. That's all you can describe Maz at the minute. But look, I hope he comes good. I still think there's a player in there. I don't know how much longer we're going to get away with saying it in this podcast, but for now, I'll keep saying it.
No, it's fair enough, mate. That's what the show's all about. It's all about opinions. Listen, that's kind of the coverage of the game done tonight. But I wanted to go back on not just one but two podcast clips from not from our show. There are other podcasts out there, folks, but we obviously recommend it to us first. First one, Stephen, is some comments made by another former fan favourite of yours. Well, one of your favourites, not one of the fan favourites, has to be said. But I thought just with the fact that we always make a big thing about, it's going along the screen at the bottom at the minute, taking care of your mental health, etc. Former Celtic goalkeeper, Macias Barkas, was getting interviewed on a Greek sporting podcast, and he said that whilst he didn't regret moving to Celtic, he obviously he doesn't miss us, shall we say, not in anything against the club, but it was just that time in his life. Obviously everything was up in the air with COVID, etc., and he says it reached a point where he's always loved his football, but for the first time ever it felt like a job. And he was very, very low. Couldn't see his family. He couldn't go out in the city or anything to socialise. And just a bit of a dark place, it has to be said, when you're listening to it. And I actually think, to be fair, we've kind of discussed that a few times on the show with him. There's no denying that you don't become the Greek number one goalkeeper if you've not got talent. I think we can sort of agree with there. It maybe just has been the case of perhaps the right club, the right move at the absolute wrong time. Going for a 10 in a row, historic, big money move. Obviously, there was a lot of issues backstage, but back behind the scenes with Celtic in the goalkeeping department that summer. It's maybe just created this perfect storm where this young guy has been thrown in the deep end and just generally struggled, not just on the park but off it as well.
Yeah, I was got another comment there by Chloe about the echo. There's an echo, but it's a streaming platform issue, and I hope it's sounding better than it was at the start. It sounds better in my headphones, but you guys are the ones watching this that keep us on track with it. But I think Barkas, look, not to get deep here, but anyone struggling with mental health and like issues like that, I think it's good to speak about it and get it off your chest. And we've always had the numbers of the various charities on the screen there, as you can see, if you ever need help or someone to talk to, even ourselves as well. But I mean, Barkas is probably the case of right place, wrong time. One of them ones. I mean, coming into that season, no fans, everything was like COVID, the restrictions, he couldn't get his family over. And like you said, I mean, Greek number one, played against us in the Champions League, looked like a world beater, came to us, and eventually he let the world beat him up. Do you know what I mean? He let everything get on top of him, and his mental health got poorly affected by that. That's the other aspect of life. It's like the Dele Alli situation, isn't it? We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. We just see the face of it, and they're not performing, and they're not doing well for our club or a certain team, and we're going, they're crap, get them out the door, or they're doing this wrong. Do you know what I mean? Sell them, transfer list them, loan them out. It's the human aspect of it, and I think sometimes footballers, for me, should open up more and just be human with everybody and tell them the struggles. And it's almost like, well, yeah, again, they're big enough and old enough to take criticism and stuff like that. But with Barkas, I think for me, he became, if you look back on his situation, like he didn't even look like he enjoyed being in nets. Like, when he was even in nets for us, he was so quiet that you never heard him shouting. I mean, if there's any season here he's shouting as a COVID season, it was behind closed doors. There was no presence about him. There was nothing there. And you could see the telltale signs he just wanted away. He's a man who given up on himself in the club. And look, he got the move to where he is now, Utrecht, I think it is, in Holland. And I think he's doing well there, and he's refound the love again for football. It's a bit like Joe Hart, isn't it? He fell out of love with football, and he didn't know if he was going to continue playing. Then Ange Postecoglou rang him, sold him the dream at Celtic Park, and he's coming in, and he's loved it ever since. And I just think the human aspect of things is something we don't see from footballers enough, because it would make us relate to them more. I mean, me myself personally, ever through a tough year, mental health and issues in my own personal life, and if I didn't speak about them, God knows what I'll be up to now. Do you know what I mean? And this podcast and other individuals like my mum and family members, granny and granda, they've helped me through all that, friends and stuff. So I mean, so putting you back into the real world and not letting you slip away and just kind of become the shell yourself. And I hope Barkas had that from the club. I hope Barkas had the help. I'm sure he did. So I mean, we facilitated this move to Utrecht. We cancelled his contract, and he essentially left the club for free, even though we spent £5 million on him. So that's testament to the club for doing that, in my opinion, losing out money. But yeah, it's tough to read that. I mean, because at the end of the day, we've all been there in life where things come all at once and you don't know how to deal with it. And especially, I mean, if you're in a situation you can't see your family, I think that's the worst feeling in the world. And if the thing you love becomes a job and becomes something you don't even want to get up to go to train for, then you know there's an issue there. And I'm actually glad that it looks like he sought help and he's left the club and on to better things. Obviously not a bigger, better club, but just for him to kind of find his love again for football and be closer to his family and his loved ones. And that's key for any individual. It doesn't matter if you're Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or whatever. You need your family around you, and family's the key. And again, if they're not with you on your journey or they can't get to you, the only way you can speak to them is via video call and stuff. It's not the same level. It's not the same thing. And I hope he continues on the trend and keeps going the way he's going. And do you know what I mean? And all the best to him. Me and Franny, my Deadly Joe partner, we loved him. We continued to train for a long, long time. And look, there's a goalkeeper in there, and I'm sure he'll get back to his top form and he'll be Greek #1 sometime soon again.
Yeah, absolutely, mate, and good luck to him. This one, it's a different subject. It's more on the football in front. But it's once again one of our favourite sons, Chris Sutton. Absolutely, not only nailing his mast about Celtic and his love for the club, but I thought it was absolutely fantastic in the way that he dealt with the latest podcast show he was on. For those that aren't aware, he was on a podcast with Daily Mail sports writer Ian Ladyman. No, say no more. Who decided last week. Now, Stephen, before I ask your views on this, I have to stress this isn't about Celtic in Europe per se. Okay, so we don't have to go down. We don't have to open that can of worms tonight. But this is just with regards to Scottish football in general. So we'll keep on that track, because I know that you do love a wee chat about Celtic in Europe. But I'm only kidding. But Ian Ladyman basically said along the case that Scottish at Celtic, why would Brendan come back to Celtic? It's without using the term, he basically rubbished the league, called it a farmers' league. But there's nothing for him to gain by being here. And basically just running Scottish football, and you use the term like mediocre and things like that. Chris Sutton just listened to all this coming in and just gave him back both barrels in a way that only Chris Sutton can. He lambasted his facts or his opinions as nonsense. He says this is why Scottish football fans can't get stick English pundits. He says he's are so patronising, and he says, okay, bad result for Celtic last week, but he says interesting that these bastions of English football and writing decide to pick that week to have a kick at Celtic and Scottish football when Manchester United are sitting bottom of their group, when Newcastle United, that have got more money than God, are sitting bottom of their group as well. And he talked about it being a one horse race, and basically it was like, how many have Manchester City won in the last 6 years? 5 of the last 6. Which Ian Ladyman at that point was quite quickly wanting to change the subject, shall we say. But it was just basically to praise Sutton and get your thoughts on him, not just for how he always sticks up for Celtic, but how he's more than prepared to give both barrels back to these English pundits and say that Scottish football's, was far from perfect, absolutely far from perfect. But there's a lot to love about it as well.
Yeah, I mean, us in this podcast are big advocates for Scottish football, albeit we complain about it, the finances and stuff like that, but it's still it's the league we love. And I used to have the same argument, and I guess this is the truth, by the way. I remember being like in secondary school and people supporting Chelsea, Liverpool or United and stuff, and they're going to me, did you watch match of the day? This is the truth. This may sound a wee bit messed up, but did you watch match of the day? And I'd be like, nah, I watch sports thing. I watch Celtic, I watch St Mirren, I watched all these clubs, and it's because I genuinely have a passion for Scottish football as well as for Celtic, I mean, you've heard me bang on about Aberdeen's transfer policy, and I love the fact that they're signing players from outside the Scottish League. I love the fact that Hearts are trying to sign players from Japan, and all these teams trying different recruitment models. It's the only way you're going to improve the game. Don't have the best finances world, but if you be smart about your recruitment, about your data analysis, then you can pick up a player. For them clubs, they're cheap. I mean, we do it ourselves, but at a slightly larger scale. And it's just it's one of these things that annoy the life out of me. And Chris Sutton, John Hartson, people of that kind of stature always stick up for the Scottish game, not only Celtic, but the Scottish game in general. The Scottish game was so kind to Chris Sutton. He made his name. He was a legend for us. John Hartson too. Multiple players have come up here and became legends, and also done it on a European level. So, getting the Seville, beating Juventus, beating teams of that nature as well. So it can be done. This whole piss narrative from English pundits and English sports fans that the SPL is a backwater. It's boring. It's like, oh, is that all you can say? So because if you look at the English league, City won a treble last year. They've been basically monopolising the English league for a good few years, in my opinion. Sometimes you get a challenge from Liverpool, won a few leagues. I think it's been between them the last maybe 6-7 years, Anthony. Am I correct on that? So if you're looking at a 2-horse, 1-horse race, it's right in your own doorstep, mate, in the English Premier League. So the concept as well, bringing money into the equation, and we've talked about this on multiple occasions, but if you look at Manchester United, for example, they're awful at the minute. And it's their recruitment policies just shot to bits. They're just trying to pluck players out of thin air, just guessing if they're going to work, and it doesn't happen like that. Newcastle, I think, are getting used to having money. Eddie Howe might not be the man to get the best out of them, but I think Corvo might have something else to say in the chat because he's doing well in the English Premier League. So there's different aspects to it. Like, it's always been the same thing. Up until maybe our last result against the English team would have been City. We drew them twice. We were the first team to take a point off a Pep Guardiola side that season, and then after City went on a losing streak because we showed teams how to play against them. That was Rodgers had done that for us. Do you know what I mean? Rodgers kind of brung that, and we drew with him at the Etihad. We had a fantastic game and drew with them at Parkhead. And our record against English teams isn't too shabby. We beat United, we beat Liverpool, we beat Blackburn, we beat multiple teams. Do you know what I mean? So again, it's just boring shite. And I always notice as well, if a Scottish club does well in Europe or gets a result, there's a mitigating factor to why they got the result. There's an issue to why they got the result. Just for example, if Celtic were playing, I don't know, Lazio, actually won at Parkhead, you would get the same pundits and TalkSport saying Lazio were missing 7 key players. So it's just all stupid things like that. The result was meaningless. There was nothing really up the thing in the game or up for grabs, and it's the same old. And Simon Jordan, who else could you name? Well, who's your man? Jason Cundy. Oh, I can't stand Jason Cundy. I cannot stand that man. And then what do you call him? Ladyface? Ladyface or Lady Man?
Yep.
Well, he's getting paid to push shit about Scottish football. Like, what else can they say about the game that we don't already know? We've got no money. Yeah, I know. You have crap stadiums. Yeah, I know. But it's them crap stadiums that we love going to. It's winning the league that we love doing. And people always ask. I heard a man when I drive home from work. There's that wee drive thing on with Bent. I think is it Darren Bent or Gabby? I don't know. It's like after 5. I'm driving home listening to it. I had a Celtic fan on the other week, and they asked him a question, and they were like, "Do you find it boring winning the league?" And he's like, "No, I love winning the league. That's our bread and butter. We win the league year in, year out. I'm a happy man. That's the way we all are supporters. We know European football can be better. We can spend another hour talking about that. But at the end of the day, we play in Scotland. We can only win trophies in Scotland. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't so long ago with the EPL and their chairmans rejected the chance of us and the Dead Club going down and joining the league. So obviously they're scared of something. That proves a point to me. And I don't get the whole thing as well about us not having money and they need to move out of that league to do better. I'm taking the conversation on a different road here. But if you look at it, Wrexham, Swansea, Cardiff, Welsh teams playing in the English Pyramid. Celtic, Scottish team, still technically a part of the United Kingdom, as they like to call it when they so choose.
Fair and equal partners.
Fair and equal partners. Why can't we join that pyramid? So, do you know what I mean? It's shambolic, it's boring, and it's the same old crap season after season. And do you know what rolls up the paper and shoves it up all their arses? Ange Postecoglou. Ange Postecoglou's went into Tottenham and transformed them, albeit they lost 2 games in a row. But before that, they were unbeaten. A fantastic run. He was taking the league by storm, and I'm sure he will again. He's just suffered a few injuries. It's the whole issue that we're saying when he first went in, he's going to get relegated. He'll be number 1 for the sack. Turns out the number 1 for the sack is like Ten Hag and Pochettino and all these managers. Postecoglou's safe in the job. And he came from us. So, fuck them.
My favourite one always is these English journalists. They always say, they're forever stuck in the past. All they ever go on about 67, forgetting that they've had nothing but pee hot to speak about since 1966. So, at least we've got 1 year on them. Scottish football, for all its faults, is something, we all love, and it's got a hell of a lot more character than anything, any of the soulless nonsense down south, certainly at Premier League level anyway, as far as I'm concerned. But Stephen, we'll call it a night from there. I think we'll probably, the audio problems have it's probably played a part tonight. I apologise to everyone that's been inconvenienced. Hopefully we'll have it sorted for next time. If you don't mind, Stephen, I'm just going to say thanks to everybody just out, and I'll leave it to you to do the famous outro and everything, because I think your sound's coming across better than mine.
Yeah, no, that's grand.
Apologies again, folks, and thanks for listening, and thanks for sticking with us, and I'll hopefully see you soon. And I'll leave it to the captain of the ship to do all the exit stuff.
I mean, and also remember, join us on the TikTok journey. Endless Celts Podcast, get in and about it. Cracking videos on there, good short clips you can get your teeth stuck into and have a laugh with yourselves. And look, again, the audio issues, it's not us, it's actually the streaming platform, and we can only apologise about that. I wish there was a technical expert that could fix everything, but unfortunately we can't at the moment. But I enjoyed tonight's podcast, and I will see Friday for our usual podcast at 8 o'clock. And until then, stay well, keep safe. Hail, hail.